Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. The professional brothers run the yard. You know what? I had somebody commented on video recently, right? And it had the usual thing, and it was mentioning about the sisters going for these bum brothers out here, the Pookies and the Ray Rays. Right. And, I acknowledge he had some points, but in terms of running the yard, because it more or less, he didn't mention this, but it just inspired this. And I hadn't talked about this in maybe a couple years or something. Right. But the guys if you really want to know who dominate the overall game, it's the professional brothers. It's professional black men. And I don't mean somebody who's like some IT or some engineer. When I say professional, I'm talking like the attorneys, the doctors, some engineers and stuff, right? Because it's usually a combination of several things. It's a combination of two things. One, they tend to have degrees. Because reality is, there's a whole bunch of women out here. Even though a lot of dudes want to think it's all about Pookie and Ray Ray, there's a whole bunch of women out here. They've been told since they were young, go get you a doctor, go get you a lawyer. And that's the first. And now in some of the circles I run in, that's a question. That's a question in the first minute. What do you do? Seriously, in fact, I know. Well, I'm going to get into that other part later. Before I get into that, I was going to get into the type of women that's going for these guys, right? But these guys, they want to know. So if you get a guy, he got usually a combination. He got like the double degree. He got the college degree. He got the graduate professional degree. Though all of them aren't going to be in a frat or something, a lot of them are. When you start talking in terms, people like to throw out the word boule and everything. These guys, if they in the formal boule, the formal one, not the whole middle class or upper middle class, but if they in a formal boule, they in some type of frat. In most cases, there might be some exceptions, but usually they coming from the frat, so they going to have that. They're going to have that connection. They're going to live differently. They're also going to deal with a different type of woman. Now, BGS had introduced the concept of the octanes, different octanes of women. Usually, the women who are going to be messing with, these dudes are going to be messing with the women who are 92 octanes. They're going to be professionals themselves and stuff. And that's what I was about to get into earlier. People are so focused on one aspect of the game. They so focused on Pookie and Ray Ray. But in all fairness, that's what they see. That's what they see, because even though some of these dudes might think that they might be top of the heap because they have a regular job or something like that. Nah, if you're not really top, if you really want to go by the American class system and the hierarchy, how they do it, and this ain't just in the black community, this is overall. Shoot, you gotta have a degree to be up there. It don't matter how much money you're making. You gotta have a degree. A lot of the stuff they do, and a lot of stuff like in the overall community, has to do with your level of education and everything. Like, for example, if you talk about, when you start talking about that top 1%, or really you should say top 10%, one of the things that they separate themselves from the rest of the population are certain colleges, are certain places. In fact, and I'm just talking about the white community now. That's how they keep themselves apart. A lot of these people going into college, I've dealt with several. When being in school myself, I've dealt with the mindset of many these whites, more upper-heeled whites. A lot of times they already know what they're going to do for a living. They already know it. They already got it. I had one rich white girl. She told me straight up, ain't what you know, it's who you know. I mean, it's a whole network. Right now, it's mirrored in the black community. Now I know some dudes are thinking, well, nah, I seen this professional woman. She went for Pookie and Ray Ray or something like that. Yeah, it happens, but also too, it is a matter where you come from. Now, anybody who's dealt in those black professional circles know they play Negro geography. And Negro geography is like where you go to school, what frat you are, who do you know, stuff like that. But they the ones, the males who are in there, they the ones getting the badass women. They're the ones, they getting the quality women. Some of them are bigger players than Pookie and Ray Ray will ever be. In fact, here's how deep it is. Here's how deep it is. If you even in terms of body count, you get some cats up there that probably have more than a Pookie will ever have. The only difference is they know how to use condoms. And because they got more to lose, so they're gonna be more protective of their seed and also more protective who they dealing with. You know? Like the issue of dealing with several baby mamas don't occur to that crew. Because they ain't there. Most of the women they dealing with are women who are professionals themselves. And like when you're dealing with those women, like women by nature, they want a man, they want to be able to look up to a man and respect. Now you get some women who get up in there and you do get some who will dip down, in all honesty, but I'm not talking about them. And even when they dip down, it's not necessarily a Pookie and Ray Ray, it's just maybe a solid guy who look cute to them. But when you look at who's really dominating it, now a lot of people say, well, I don't see that. Dude, y'all not in those same circles. Because understand, those groups roll in different circles. I remember, because Rom rolled in everybody's circle. Now, I remember I've been to like more hood type of parties where you get some Pookie and Ray Rays, right? The women look a certain way. Like I remember 2 instances. It's like back-to-back weeks. Like I went to one party or one group, and this was mostly like working class people. They looked a certain way, the women had some weight on them and everything. The guys were, more down-to-earth type of guys. But then I went to a more upper hill type of party, and the guys were it is a totally different thing. You didn't have that same energy. For lack of a better term, the energy was more bougie. And then you had more the type of sisters were there. You didn't see any tattoos, any visible ones anyway. Ain't to say they didn't have them. You didn't see any tattoos. The women were slimmer. They didn't have any weaves. At best, they might have had pressed hair. They might have just had a pressing comb, a perm or something. But nothing too wild or crazy, different way of carrying itself. So it's a different vibe. So a lot of times people won't do that. But when you look at this thing, you got to look at the overall thing. And I know some people will say, well, it's the majority of the black. Even then, it's still not the majority. Because there's several different subcultures in the black community. Even then, because we ain't even get into like the whole church game and stuff. And you still got a lot of people in the church, So it's like, if you really want to be honest about who's doing it, who's running this shit, I'm gonna look for the professional brothers. Because I know some now. The women are very high quality. These the dudes making 6 figures. These are the ones who got the credentials. These are dudes like attorneys. These are dudes like some doctor, pharmacist, something like that. They making the money. They got the house. They got the car. Plus they stay in shape. And you got to ask yourself, who's really doing better? Is it the Pookie and the Ray Ray, or is it the professional man who got that badass, high octane woman? And yeah, the octane women do get down sexually, but they want to do it with a certain guy. So I want to just put that out there, man. It's like, look, a lot of times when you see it, you got to see the whole picture. A lot of people just see their picture. Because I remember I had, I saw a comment, it wasn't even on this video. I think it was another video. And some dude was talking about him and his wife together make $50,000, right? And I'm just like, some of the cats I know, Some of the cats I know blowing that away, and their whole perspective is different. You know? And this is what I would say. I know people can only talk about what they know and see, but just understand, unless you can say you've seen every aspect of what's going on, like every aspect, or you've been to every city, you've been in every subculture, like church or something, just keep in mind there's always more. That's all I'm saying. You know, you can't help where you've been. I would suggest to anybody, if you think whatever situation is it, try to, however you do it, talk to some people, look up something, try to get another environment. And then even within the black community, you'll see, oh, wait, this is bigger than this. And that's why I stick with it, because that's why I always like bring this up, because I see like all sides. I see all sides. And I see what's up. And there's a lot of stuff that's just you not seen. Like, for example, there ain't a lot of professional. Like, you know what? I want the professional men, professional brothers who pay, and that not just because you got a job or something like that, but like what people consider the traditional professions that you had to get an advanced degree for: the attorneys, doctors, engineers, accountants, stuff like that. Shout yourself out, man, because then you let me know your experience. Trust me, it's a totally different vibe and shit. And y'all know it. You know? It's a totally different vibe. Because, and once you see it, then you understand, oh, this ain't what people might think it is. Because you've seen another angle to it. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.